each time you dig something up, it's a learning experience. You're wiser when you go on to the next target. You've just learned something.
July 1861, Old Dominion standing strong.
The very most important thing to do when you're detecting the beach is learn to read the beach. You know, you can find stuff anywhere, but if you can read the beach, detect in areas that are more likely to hold the targets, you just increase your odds. And I've reached a point now where when I go out, I'll actually check several beaches just to see what they look like before I even take my detector out. You hear a lot about cuts, and a cut is when we get some heavy winds out of the north, and the waves run right along the edge of the beach, and it strips sands away, and it forms like a cliff. And those are always good. So the other thing that I look for is low areas. You know, as you look up and down the beach, if you see where the water is running up higher on the beach, you know that the reason the water is going up higher is because the area is lower. Okay, the machine I use, and I've tried several, but the one I settled on was a MineLab Sovereign. But it's an older detector, but it just really handles the mineralization on the beach. The beaches are highly mineralized. As the tide goes out, I like to get out there about 3 hours before low tide, and then I start up high and follow the wave out. And as that wave goes out, you know, over a period of time, it's dropping sand. And so it'll fill in. You might start the morning, you have a real steep bank, and by the time the tide's all the way out, that bank is a lot flatter. It's dropped that much sand. And the Sovereign has got 17 different frequencies. It kind of adjusts for that. So I can go high and go out into the water without the machine falsing. A lot of them you'll have to hunt parallel, because once you adjust or ground balance your machine, and if you get out deeper, the mineralization is different. And that's why I like the Sovereign. It's been really good to me. What everybody should do is try to keep that coil as flat as they possibly can and as close to the ground as they can. And I've got kind of a wild banana type swing. And the reason for that being is I've had 5 different surgeries on my arms, 3 in one and 2 in the other. And if you watch me on the beach, you'll see me change hands continuously. I just have to fight that. But to overcome that, you know, what I've done on my detector, it has a feature called a threshold. So what I do is I turn up the threshold so I got a constant humming, you know, and then I'll run it against my scoop, which is a stainless steel scoop, and that's a high tone. So now I'm going along with that hum, and it's a high tone. And as I'm going along, if that tone all of a sudden changes, as I've come close to a target, but not enough to make the machine sound off. It won't make the normal chirp when you go over a target. And what I'll do is stop and go back and slow down and work it. And it's amazing how many times I will locate something that I would have missed had it not been for that threshold. You know, I can usually tell before I dig it what's going to come up. But don't get locked into that. I have seen so many guys standing there over a spot. They've got a target or they've got a noise or something down there, and they run their coil over it, and they're looking at the numbers, and then they move a little bit, and they run the coil over it, and they'll spend 2-3 minutes analyzing that target. You know, on the beach, if it makes a noise, dig it up. I really believe that you should investigate those things. I mean, you're on the beach. If you're on the beach detecting, you've got a great big scoop over your shoulder. You know, it's just not a lot of effort to put that thing in the ground and dig up what's down there. You know, rather than wonder about it. And each time you dig something up, it's a learning experience. You're wiser when you go on to the next target. You've just learned something. You might not realize it, but you really have. But I prefer to hunt the wet. You know, I have no statistics on it. This is my opinion. But I believe that 8 to 10 rings are lost in the wet when the people are swimming versus when they up in the dry. And plus, when I hit a beach, you know, be 7 guys out there detecting, and 6 of them will probably be up in the dry sand. If you're hunting like I do, where you follow the tides out, to me, it just paid dividends.